Lend us your ear as we talk about the shows we've seen.
The Ensemble for the Romantic Century is presenting Van Gogh's Ear, written by Eve Wolf, directed by Donald T. Sanders. The text is mostly from Vincent van Gogh's letters to his brother Theo. Vincent's played by Carter Hudson and his brother is Chad Johnson. And it's from the last years of his life. Despite his madness, Vincent's letters are keenly analytical and lucid. He reveals his perceptions of nature and color as well as his concerns with the technique of painting and its affinities with musical structure. And this is where this group really shines because they have wonderful examples of late 19th century French art songs and chamber music. There's a wonderful string quartet accompanied by piano. And Theo as a tenor, and the one who plays his wife is a wonderful, let's see, her name is Tatum, I can't, Renee Tatum. She plays the wife and also a prostitute that Van Gogh cuts his ear off for. It's really great visual to see all these enormous close-ups of the brush strokes that you feel are very much identified with the pizzicato strings, and the letters are great text, but for me it doesn't really come together. If I'm listening to the text, then I feel it's interrupted by the music. If I get into the music, I feel then the text is interrupting it. And also, I'm not the greatest lover of this kind of music, so I was a little bit out of it, even though I could respect it as a really challenging work.
He's doing all the talking because, quite frankly, I slept through this thing. This is not for me. I hate opera. I hate classical music. It always puts me to sleep. When I can't sleep at night, I put on the opera, classical music. I'm out like that. So, but I love Van Gogh. And like he said, I loved the close-ups of his artwork. I mean, it was like three-dimensional almost. Mm-hmm. It was so beautiful. And I was surprised because Van Gogh was played by this actor that looked more like George Seurat, like Jake Gyllenhaal doing George Seurat, which was a much better musical about an artist. And I found the text, it was just too...
Well, it's great to read because they're really well-written letters.
Yeah, but it's not dramatic. This was not a theater piece. This really wasn't. And so I was bored silly. I mean, my colleagues loved this thing. So, but I mean, I'm not the right person to see this, so don't listen to me.
I gave it a happy minus because, again, it is a little tiresome, but visually it's unmatched.
Zachary Desmond's Friends Call Me Albert for Number 11 Productions blends humans and puppets to tell a different side to Albert Einstein, skipping back and forth through time, concentrating on his relationships with his parents, friends, and colleagues, girlfriends, wives, and especially his ex-wife, the brilliant Mileva Maric. I found this a bit of a mess, as I had just seen the exceptionally detailed miniseries Einstein on television. While we were given the names of some of his friends or colleagues, there was no background as to who they were or what their significance was to the story. All we learned about Elsa, his second wife, was that she constantly fed Albert and his friends some noodle dish. The scientific parts were too turgid for someone like me who is not very scientifically minded to comprehend it. And that said, there were some really lovely moments with these floating lights and also the little orbs. I also wish they had used a tiny Edison puppet more, as there was something quite magical when he was playing violin, and at one point he was spiraling down, and he was just adorable little puppet. This was a very ambitious project, and with some judicious pruning and more clarity, this could be quite good, but for over 2 hours, it was way too long. Now, Number 11 Productions has put on shows more to my liking in the past, with Quest for the West, Adventures on the Oregon Trail, and I look forward to what they do in the future. They are an earnest, innovative, inventive theater company, but I'm sorry for this one, I've got to give it a mix. Sorry, classical music and science just isn't my thing.
Closing September 17th is Groundhog Day, the musical, with book by Danny Rubin, music and lyrics by Tim Minchin, and directed by Matthew Warchus. In Groundhog Day, Andy Karl plays the Bill Murray role of Phil Connors, a snarky TV weatherman covering the events of Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. He finds himself trapped in a vicious circle with the same day repeating endlessly. At first, he's condescending to everyone around him. Soon he's rather opportunistic, using his increasing knowledge of the people and events to get what he wants. Only his associate producer, Rita, played by Barrett, seems impervious to his machinations. More than the movie, the musical probes deeper into the implication of Phil's position, knowledge, and control of events. Can he change from a detached, sardonic God to one who's truly benevolent and caring? And I thought it was extremely well done.
Oh, yeah, I actually liked it so much more than the movie, because, I mean, when the movie first came out, I thought it was hysterical and brilliant, and I just seen it recently, and I was like, oh, this isn't that good a movie as I remembered, but the musical was great. There's this one scene with this car chase scene that was, the way it was staged, Matthew Warchus staged it, and the choreography was just amazing, was really good.
Peter Darling, choreographer.
Okay, I keep this.
Yeah, and it's, again, just something that repeats and repeats. You think it could get boring, but the variations and the way we saw Andy Karl kind of like either getting hit by something or escaping it, and it was truly brilliant. It was really great slapstick.
But there was also a rather moving segment about death in this, where he kept trying to save this guy, and you know, because he could kill himself over and over again and come back alive, but so there was this blend of reality and like whimsicalness that just really worked. And I'm sorry it's closing so soon. And Barrett Doss got a Theatre World Award, and I have an interview with her later on. And also I got a musical number from Stars in the Alley, which I'm going to show later on. So really, you know, you don't want to miss it. So quickly, hurry, 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 over and over again. Hurry to see this.
You will enjoy it. You will enjoy it. You will enjoy it.
Everything comes from the mind and closet of Bobby Goldman, who has mimed her own life to create the comic gold found in Curvy Widow. After Bobby's husband dies unexpectedly, her three friends help her to pick up the pieces. On the advice of her husband's psychiatrist, she dives back into the dating pool filled with losers and crackpots with their usual assortment of proclivities. Under Drew Brody's matchless music and lyrics with such amusing songs as It's Not a Match and the Gynecological Tango, where Marco Santana's choreography was used to distinction, this turned out to be a delightful divertissement for the summertime doldrums. As always, Nancy Opel can light up any stage, and when it comes to belting out a song or dressing up a scene, she is incomparable. Her trio of friends, Andrea Bianchi, Aisha DeHaas, and Elizabeth Wardland, kept the pace with the action and contributed to the absurdity of maintaining relationships. Ken Land, Alan Marocca, and Chris Shire as the various men in Bobby's life were at times revolting, sweet, and sexy. This show was a lot of fun and even gave me some ideas. This gets a happy face.
The Suitcase Under the Bed continues the revival of interest in the Irish playwright Teresa Deevy by the Mint Theatre Company. Here it's an evening of 4 short plays, only one of which, The King of Spain's Daughter, was ever produced by the Abbey Theatre in 1935. The first play, let's see if I could find it, Strange Birth, of the characters found in Mrs. Taylor's boarding house, only Sarah, the maid, is generally happy, mostly because she's avoided love or commitment. The arrival of Bill, the postman with the special letter, may change her life. Second play, In the Cellar of My Friend, young Belle brings flowers for her Aunt Patty, who she hopes will truly become her aunt when she marries Barney. Barney's father, Thomas, hopes to marry Belle himself. What exactly are Barney's plans, and what has he written in a letter to Belle? Holiday House, one of my favorites. Freddie Hetty prepares the summer house for the arrival of her brothers Derek and Nell and their wives Jill and Doris, respectively. It promises to be a bumpy summer because Derek and Jill had once been engaged. How do they feel about each other now, and what plans might the mater, the mother matriarch, have for them. The last play, The King of Spain's Daughter, perhaps the most complex. Jim wants to marry Annie, but he doesn't know how to make this wild and wildly imaginative girl marry him. Her father is harsh and abusive. An older neighbor gives advice to both Jim and Annie, but will Annie stop playing around with other swains like Roddy and settle down with Jim? These playlets are intriguing, extremely well acted by a protean cast, and Deevy is also a master, a skillful, sympathetic writer, but I sometimes feel the choices of the characters to be inscrutable. But I liked it.
Oh, I do too, but the thing is, because they're short little plays, they're tasty appetizers, but I wanted the whole entree. I like these characters so much, I wanted to continue with them. So I would definitely I would love to see 4 full-length plays out of these little tiny plays. And the cast really was remarkable. I mean, you couldn't even recognize from one character to the next. The way they changed their characters and appearance so well was amazing. And at the Connor Stevens play, we ran into A.J. Shively, and he was just starting rehearsals for this, so I got a little interview with him about this play. But once again, the Mint unearths these incredible treasures, and I just love what they do.
And it was, you know, again, even though each play might not have been fully satisfying by itself, it was so great to meet so many characters from Teresa Deevy's world.
Her devious mind.
Yes, her devious mind. But it was really fun, and you should go.
Happy face minus.
Yeah, the minus. For more of Teresa Deevy, you could read one of the books published by the Mint, which gives 3 of her full-length plays that they produced. Really worth reading, and you could read more about my views on Facebook.
The new Broadway season has started with a bang. That perennial firebrand Michael Moore has landed himself on Broadway with The Terms of My Surrender. If you are nervous that this is some bombastic anti-Trump diatribe, it is not. Instead, he shows the power of how one person can make a difference, and this is quite inspirational and heartwarming. Most of all, to us in these troubled times, he offers a message of hope. Mr. Moore has a talent for making us laugh uproariously at the foibles of people and politics, and in the same dialogue, he moves us with tales of standing up to the discriminatory practices of the Lions Club, the cowardice of publishers, and the bravery of librarians, not to mention the evils of people in power and how they deliberately poison the drinking water in Flint, Michigan. You know he was going to go there. There is more to Moore than meets the eye. I have been following him a long time, from his movies to his television show, and I had no idea about his high school exploits and the courageous stand he took when he and a friend protested President Reagan's trip to Bitburg, Germany, to lay a wreath on a Nazi grave. Now, my Aunt Greta's from Bitburg, Germany, so this really struck home with us at our house. She even wrote a letter to the White House about that. Mr. Moore blends serious issues with silliness, like his game show with an audience member, because to find out who knows more about Canada and the United States, he gets the smartest person from the United States against the stupidest person from Canada and asks them questions about each other's country, and usually Canada wins to prove his point. But sometimes it's the other way around, and you could get some audience members who are very, like, limelight heavy and really go crazy.
Did you do it?
No,
I thought you would.
I wasn't smart enough. He wanted really. I was a B student. I'm not an A student. Anyway, I think this show might even be able to get bipartisan support. I know it gets my vote, so this gets a happy face. There's a lot more that he does. It's just a really good show. And now for interviews with A.J. Shively and Barrett and a musical number from Groundhog Day, stars Nellie, Cott, Bandstand. The Saws are closing the 17th, and some great Comet. Also, so what are you doing this summer?
This summer, I'm doing a play with the Mint Theater Company, which I'm very excited about. We started rehearsal today.
The Lucky One is still going on.
Yeah, which is fantastic. Did you saw it?
We never miss the Mint.
Yeah, I'm very excited. It's my first time working with the Mint, so I'm excited. It's called The Suitcase Under the Bed. And we start previews on July 21st.
What's that about?
It's 4 20-minute plays written by a playwright called Teresa Deevy. They've done 2 of her full-length plays before at the Mint, but she was writing in Ireland in the 1930s and had a falling out with the Abbey Theatre, and a lot of her works got lost. So these short plays were literally found in a suitcase under a bed in her family home. The family still owns the home that she was born in. So these are 4 one-acts that, of the 4, 3 are world premiere productions, 2 have never been published. So it's very exciting. It's good.
This is the lost episodes of famous playwright.
Absolutely, yes.
And you get to step back in time.
Get to step back in time and all over the country of Ireland, which is very cool.
How's your Irish spraga doing?
Well, based on today, I have a rehearsal process to look forward to. But it's good. It's great. The only thing giving me stress is we have 2 actual Irish people in the cast, so it's gonna.
No, that's good, because you'll listen and you'll pick it up just by talking to them. Like when I talk to a Southern person, I end up with a Southern accent.
It's true. They'll keep us honest. It'll be good. Yeah, we're not gonna get too broad.
Das.
So, how does it feel to be the love interest with Andy, Carl, in Groundhog Day, and you gotta keep clear of Orphan?
I know, she's the best, and so is he. I'm just so grateful to be there, and Andy is one of the best scene partners I've ever worked with, and he's just so much fun, and I love him so much, and it's just an honor to be able to work with him every night, and to be here. It's really great.
And you got that great score and a great director.
Absolutely. Matthew Warchus is a champion and a hero and a wonderful human being, so I'm just really excited to work with him too. And Tim Minchin, a genius. It's just the best team I've ever worked with, and I'm just so thrilled.
worth respecting and giving honor to. So I feel like it's my responsibility with this show to tell their stories that aren't told very often because they're really complicated and dark. And so I feel a responsibility to honor, give tribute to our troops. Yeah. Thanks.
Oh, here we are with Dave Malloy. What's it like going from downtown and then having the most Tony-nominated show from Ars Nova? And you went to Incubator Arts, and you're a downtown guy. Now you're uptown.
No, it's been such a thrill. I mean, Rachel Chapkin and I have both been always such strong believers in both like the downtown world and the Broadway world, and like kind of marrying the experimental world with the commercial world. Like both of us love both of those forms of art so much. So it's been amazing to have the kind of aesthetic transfer uptown up here and have it so warmly received. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing how much it's changed, but also how much it's stayed the same. Like, it still feels like the same, like, intimate seed of a thing that we created at this 87-seat theater at Ars Nova. And every time we've kind of grown in size, it's gotten more and more like War and Peace. You know, more and more like this epic, giant novel that Tolstoy wrote.
And I hear it's just as good a party upstairs as downstairs.
Oh my God, yeah, the Mez are some of my favorite seats. Like, I love it upstairs. Yeah, there's, actors and musicians running around up there, and there tend to be a lot of, like, kids up there as well, like teenagers, and they're having a wild time, and yeah, it's very fun up there.
Amber Gray.
Congrats on the Theater World Award.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
And this has been a great, because weren't you also in Hadestown as well?
Yes, yeah.
So you've been in 2 spectacular musicals.
Yeah, I've actually been in 5 productions of Rachel Chafkin's. All of them have had many iterations as well. So, yeah, she's my partner in crime.
So, but you're always playing these devilish characters, aren't you?
In those particular shows, yeah, those 2. Not always, but those 2, yes.
And now a musical treat for you. Liz Asaro with her guitar accompanist Jay Shephard doing her new hit single 1,000 Years.
How'd you come up with 1,000 years? I mean, that's like William the Conqueror.
Right.
Like
Yeah, I think about that a lot, actually. It's interesting because when I describe the song to people, often I'll give the description, well, yeah, well, are we doing anything differently now than we would have done 10 years ago or 100 years ago or and the 1,000 does seem like a long time, but when I first started writing the song, I think a lot about this concept of us being like a speck in the universe, and not to say that we're insignificant, because on the contrary, I feel like every person is extremely significant and their energy adds so much to everything that happens in the universe. But it's I think that when you do keep in mind that you are this little speck, that it keeps our arrogance level in check as humans, which I think we all need to do a little bit. But I was sitting in this incredible spot on the planet in West Cork on the ocean. I mean, it's just stunning. And it's Ireland's just such an incredibly spiritual country to me anyway. And I'm like, I always think, what happened right here on this spot? Like, millions of years ago, never mind 1,000 years, never mind 100 years. So 1,000 seemed like, a lot happened. It wasn't, in the grand scheme of time, it's not that long ago. And the reason I the concept I was going with at that point then was just the technological age and how fast things move now, and how fast we develop all this technology. But human nature is not keeping up. I don't think we're. I think we need to think a little bit more about where we're at in time and the tools that we've built, and the repercussions of using those tools, and how we have to keep up as humans to balance that out.
You can find the entire interview and song on the Facebook page. And Leslie DeLeo and Claudia Terry are in Agamemnon. And your last chance to see Natasha Pierre in The Great Comet of 1812. And don't forget, Groundhog Day and Bandstand are departing September 17th. And you can see a Marlene Dietrich show. Yay! Ralph Lee is back with the Meadowia River Theater Company with the Christine Haruna Lee story. And Peculiar Works is having a fundraiser September 3rd at Dixon Place. And Japan Society's back in with what's it called? 4 Nights of Dreams. Festivals are still going on. Other Broadway shows going on, and we'll talk about Prince of Broadway next show, September 16th. It's really good. At Feinstein, Scott Siegel's 54 Sings Broadway's Greatest Hit is September 16th. Richard Skipper celebrates September 10th at Laurie Beachman. And at the Duplex, Leslie Kreitzer is doing a comedy show with Lisa Deevy. Free theater from the New Cities going on. As You Like It, the Public Theater, the community thing, which is always so good. And The Tempest, which is done by that great drilling company, Shakespeare. And the new theaters coming back with Playwrights Horizon. And 59 East 59th Street, 92nd Street Y has Younger's cast and creator, September 10th. Sheen Center has Vanessa Williams on September 9th. Village My Home is Marcina Zacharina. The BAM has stuff going on. That's at the Dream Up Festival. Melissa Gilbert's going to play at the Cherry Lane. The Flea is at their new place at 20 Thomas Street. Don't forget our Facebook page for longer reviews, and Parody Productions has recommendations, and they're a very good company. And we have Twitter, and don't forget to pick up your Performing Arts Insider, the Cultural Heartbeat of New York City. Next show September 16th. Like I said, longer reviews, interviews, everything you'll find on the Facebook page. And Alfie's going back to college, so it'll be a cameraless show again.